I've been noticing all my friends are doing is self-censoring.
Oh, yeah.
Like even Christians will do stuff like, just happened to me in the grocery store. I'm talking to a Christian. Let's start talking about this gender stuff, which is essentially declaring that biology exists, right?
Right.
They lower their voice.
Well, yeah.
I'm not blaming them. When you step back from the moment, understanding what they're doing, understanding it, not judging it, but that we are there is such a sad social commentary.
Because who wants to get caught in the grocery store getting yelled at by somebody because you used the wrong misgendering? I think a big problem with that is that we think that we're in the days of Nero, where we're like, oh, we have to meet in private. Like we're living in China where we have to self-censor because these vocal minorities are so vocal, which honestly, most of the time, I think people don't care.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that they care. Speaking of self-censoring, I got a really close friend of mine. He declares himself an Odinist. He's been my friend for a very, very long time.
An Odinist.
Yeah, grew up in like a Methodist church. And I talked to him a bit about the stuff that I was going to talk about because for once I decided to be brave. I've never gotten to the point where I felt like I could just air it because I'm so averse to any kind of confrontation physically in front of people. You know, you want to be like somewhat of a peacemaker. Both of my parents are big on making
And there
peace.
is virtue in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to completely railroad it. There is virtue in that.
Yeah. But what I did was I talked to him a bit about it, and he gave me some honest feedback that was extremely valuable.
Like what?
You ever heard of iMatter? It's like a suicide awareness concert. They get a bunch of heavy metal bands, Christian-sponsored. Something that he said that he had a problem with on most of these Christian-sponsored events is that it's not so much that they're Christian-sponsored. It's the fact that it's kind of like those Facebook messages or posts that you see where people can give you a list of things that are wrong with the country. Even if you agree with 100% of it, they flip a switch at one point and say, and the thing that you need is God. It's like a sales pitch on conversion rather than it being something that's organic. He's like, I wouldn't care if they were just upfront about it because then I know what I'm getting into. But it feels like they try and pull the wool over their eyes because they want people to come in and they want to convert them. Now, even if it's for a good reason, from a worldly perspective,
his thing is just shoot me straight.
Yes.
That's what it boils down to.
I think that's what most people want. We're encountering the same thing that the people in Russia. You know, like I read this book, an audiobook with Danielle. Something that this guy said, he did a lot of traveling. He traveled in Russia. He had this girl that he was dating that was Russian. They were having a conversation about something, and he put out an opinion, and she just flat out said, "That's stupid." Like, but that she left it there. There was no coddling. She just said, "That's really stupid." And he said, the thing is about Russia, they were lied to for so long during like Stalin and Lenin's regime.
Right.
Propaganda was so heavy.
The Pravda and communist blanket.
The people they value the truth more than anything. So you have a real friend if they're willing to say like something crazy honest to you.
That's a cool thought in that way. I am more Slavic because I've always liked that. I was trying to play devil's advocate here. Most of the people I interact with would not agree with us. They value what they would call like social couth, or they value like emotional coddling over. Yeah. And look, in all honesty, there's artfulness on both sides of the coin. But for me, my dispositional nature, I agree with the Russian. I think just shoot me straight. I'm a grown man. Look, I've had my hand held in middle school. I've developed a certain degree of alligator skin, like most men my age have. I understand how I look. I understand the faults. I understand all that stuff. I want people to show me enough respect to be honest with me, and I think that's such a great starting point for a relationship. I almost think any relationship, like think about the people that you most have intimacy with. You usually went through a difficult thing. If you didn't just emotionally coddle each other the whole time, maybe that person said something tough. Maybe you got in a fight and then recovered from the fight. There's usually some sort of like real human. There's this guy I watch. He's a great podcast, Lex Friedman, and he's a really, really interesting guy. But one of the things that's so interesting is he has these like famous filmmakers, all these people, and he hits them with these questions like, do you fear death? What's the meaning of life? And it's really interesting to watch him squirm under such brutal honesty. And interestingly enough, he's Slavic. This question, like a deep question, like a question you can't say yes or no to or put some sort of polish on. There's such honesty. He just lets it sit. He lets the tension in the mood. Mm-hmm. He lets everything sit.
He lets it sit.
And there's something very
It's great.
You can't take your eyes off the screen watching like Oliver Stone like squirm under like having to do business with his like humanity right in front of you.
Oh, sure.
And he just doesn't fill that moment, which I would have a tendency to do. He just lets it. You could cut the thickness with a knife, and then Oliver's squirming. He's like, no, really. He's like, let's feel this. That's what he says. It's just so like. Anyway, Luke, thanks for being on.